Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. In this video, we're diving into a paradox that leaves many men confused, frustrated, and sometimes heartbroken. Why do women ignore you, even when they're deeply in love? You text her, no reply. She's warm one day, cold the next. You're giving her attention, yet she pulls away. It feels like you're losing her. But in reality, something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Most men interpret silence as rejection. They panic, they chase. But the truth is far more complex and far more empowering when you understand the deeper layers of female emotional behavior, evolutionary psychology, and emotional intelligence. Throughout this video, we'll uncover the ancient truths about love and emotional detachment that sages and warriors understood, how deeply in love women often behave in ways that look cold but are actually filled with emotional intensity, real-life relationship dynamics, why a woman's silence might be the loudest sign of love, how to stop chasing and start attracting from a place of masculine groundedness and power. If you've ever asked yourself, why is she pulling away when everything felt so right? You're not alone. But after today, you'll never see this situation the same way again. This isn't a video just about relationships. It's about becoming a man who understands the emotional terrain of women and mastering yourself in the process. So if you're ready to stop overthinking, stop chasing, and start attracting with stoic strength, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a brother who needs to hear this. And drop a comment below with your thoughts. We'll be including a powerful prompt at the end of each chapter to help you engage with this wisdom on a deeper level. Chapter 1. The Silence of the Feminine. A language most men never learn. The most confusing moment for a man is not when a woman says goodbye. It's when she says nothing at all. Silence, distance, cold replies. These moments trigger something ancient inside every man, the fear of losing her, the panic of not being enough, the instinct to fix, chase, and reclaim her attention. But here's the truth. When a woman deeply loves you, she doesn't always move closer. Sometimes she moves inward. She becomes quieter, not because she's fallen out of love, but because she's overwhelmed by it. In ancient Greece, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This wasn't just about conversation, it was about observing what is not said, because love, especially from the feminine, often speaks in subtle energy, not direct words. When a woman is in love, her emotions don't follow logic, they follow feeling, intuition, and a tidal rhythm that even she may not fully understand. Sometimes that love is so intense, it scares her. And when a woman is afraid, she seeks emotional protection. She pulls back, not because you did something wrong, but because she's trying to make sense of what she feels. That withdrawal is not rejection, it's reflection. A man who is unaware of this truth becomes reactive. He texts more, calls more, wonders what he said. He analyzes every last message, looks for signs, reads between words. But what he misses is the mirror her silence is placing in front of him. Her withdrawal is a test of your center. Will you remain grounded? Will you remain confident, composed, trusting in your masculine frame? Or will you become frantic, needy, and emotionally unbalanced? This is where emotional intelligence separates boys from men. A boy reacts, a man observes, a boy chases, a man attracts. In ancient China, the Taoist sages spoke of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action, to do nothing but allow everything to unfold through presence and inner alignment. When she pulls away, don't chase. Instead, return to yourself. Breathe. Ground yourself in stillness. Reflect, not on her, but on you. Are you standing in your power or trying to extract love to fill a void? Because here's a truth few understand. When a woman is deeply in love, she often fears losing herself. So she creates distance, not to hurt you, but to protect the sacred space of that love until she feels safe enough to fully surrender to it. Think of the man who falls in love with a woman who was once vibrant, affectionate, consistent. Suddenly, she becomes unpredictable. Not cold, but distant. She's still there, but not like before. This is where most men destroy everything. They start fighting the silence. They demand attention. They interpret distance as loss, so they smother her with presence. But a wise man does something else. He holds the line. He doesn't disappear, but he doesn't chase. He lets her feel what life is like without his energy chasing her. And in that quiet space, her emotions rise, her heart recalibrates. She realizes, I miss him. Not because he demanded my love, but because his presence grounded me. That's when the feminine returns, on her own terms, with more depth, with more certainty. It's not a mind game, it's the natural flow of the masculine and feminine polarities. As a man, your job is not to fix her silence. Your job is to hold space for her process without losing yourself. A woman wants a man who can stand still in the storm, because if her love feels chaotic, she will test your ability to remain steady. This is not manipulation, this is biology and emotional memory. Throughout history, from the queens of ancient Egypt to the poets of Persia, women were never drawn to men who begged for affection. They were drawn to men who led with quiet strength, who let the storm rage and still stood tall. Your stillness is more powerful than 1,000 words. Your detachment, not from her, but from needing her response, is what awakens deeper attraction. A man in control of his emotions is a man she can trust, and when she trusts you, she returns every single time. If you're constantly being ignored by women who once loved you, it's time to stop asking, what's wrong with her? And start asking, where am I not emotionally centered? What part of me panics when she pulls away? How can I remain calm, confident, and connected to purpose without needing her validation? This is where transformation begins, not by fixing her silence, but by mastering your own. Comment below. I attract, not chasing. I stand still while the storm passes. I trust my presence. Chapter 2. The love-hurt reflex. Why her heart pulls away when it's most invested. If you've ever felt the confusion of being ignored by a woman who once looked at you with devotion, you're not weak. You're not lost. You're simply staring face to face with a mystery of feminine psychology that most men have never been taught to decode. What if I told you, the closer she feels to you, the more danger she feels too? This doesn't mean you are dangerous. It means the emotional surrender of deep love feels dangerous to her internal world. Let's go deeper. Love feels like loss to the unhealed. Feminine, women like men, carry emotional scars, but the feminine carries them differently. When a woman starts to truly love you, her emotions begin to unlock, and with them, old fears, past betrayals, and the ache of every unhealed wound she's ever hidden. Love is not just pleasure, it's vulnerability. And to a woman who has been abandoned, betrayed, or neglected, that vulnerability feels like danger. So what happens? She pulls away to protect herself, even though she loves you, even though she thinks about you all the time, even though she might cry alone at night wondering why she can't just stay open. It's not your fault. It's not even fully hers. It's a love-hurt reflex, a survival pattern that gets triggered the moment her heart starts to open deeply. In ancient Greece, the poetess Sappho wrote, "He seems to me equal to the gods, who sits across from you and listens closely to your sweet voice." Sappho spoke of love as something divine, something that terrifies and exalts the feminine soul. But what few remember is that her poetry was also filled with melancholy. Why? Because to love so deeply often meant to feel abandoned by one's own emotional control. This is the part men never learn. Sometimes when a woman falls hardest for you, she becomes most afraid of herself, not of your masculinity, but of her own capacity to fall, to become dependent, to lose her sense of self inside love. So she ignores. Not because she doesn't care, but because caring too much makes her feel emotionally unsafe. Understanding her emotional safety system. Psychologists call this the approach avoidance conflict. It's when someone desires closeness but fears what that closeness could cost them. In women, especially those who've been burned by past relationships, this shows up as sudden withdrawal when things get too real. You start talking about the future. She sees how deeply she's falling. Suddenly, she's distant, cold, silent. Men mistake this for indifference, but in reality, it's a survival instinct rooted in one of the oldest feminine fears. Will I lose myself if I give this man everything? What real masculine power looks like. Here, the average man becomes confused and insecure. He tries to remind her of what they had. He sends flowers, long texts. He overcompensates. But here's the hard truth. You can't make a woman feel safe by talking her into it. You must let your energy do the work. Safety to the feminine is not logic. It's emotional tone. It's the space your presence creates. It's whether she can feel that you are not moved by her confusion, but anchored in your own certainty. This is what the warriors of old understood. The samurai, trained in Bushido, practiced complete emotional stillness, even in the face of death. Not because they lacked feeling, but because they were masters of presence. A woman tests your emotional stability not to punish you, but to see if you're real. If you panic, she feels she has to protect herself. But if you remain still, emotionally grounded, purpose-driven and non-reactive, she slowly begins to trust, not just you, but the love she feels for you. And when a woman trusts her own feelings, she returns. What you must do when she pulls away. Let's be clear. Do not chase. Do not over-communicate. Do not punish her with silence or resentment. Instead, 1. Maintain your rhythm. Keep showing up in your life. Work out. Building lead. 2. Respond. Don't react. If she reaches out, answer calmly, not coldly, not desperately. 3. Create emotional oxygen. Let her miss you. Let her recalibrate. 4. Stay connected to your purpose. Women respect men who don't lose themselves for love. If she's ignoring you and you still chase her, you've already lost your center. But if you hold the line, not out of pride, but out of power, you become irresistible. Comment below. I trust that real love returns to stillness. I lead with calm, not fear. Drop this in the comments if you're learning to let go of panic and lead with powerful emotional presence. Chapter 3: The Dance of Distance. Why Control Repels. Love and stillness attracts away. A man's greatest illusion in love is that control will bring him peace. If he can just figure her out, if he can just say the right thing, if he can just hold tighter, then maybe she won't ignore him. Maybe she'll stay. But love is not tamed by force, especially not the love of a woman. It is wild, intuitive, emotional, and it flows not because you control it, but because you respect its rhythm. The feminine does not obey logic, it follows emotion. Masculine energy is linear, driven by goals, structure, and clarity. Feminine energy is cyclical, driven by emotion, intuition, and feeling. This is not just a modern idea, it's an ancient truth observed across civilizations. In Vedic philosophy, the masculine was called Shiva, the eternal stillness, the unchanging observer. The feminine was Shakti, the force of nature, creation, movement, life. Shiva without Shakti is stagnant, but Shakti without Shiva is chaotic. Together they create balance. So when a woman ignores you, it's often because her emotional tides are pulling her inward. She's processing, changing, flowing. But instead of understanding her process, most men try to grab the river and hold it still. And that's when she runs, not because she doesn't love you, but because your need for control makes her feel unsafe. Real love requires surrender, not to her, but to the flow. A woman in love with you might ignore you because she's overwhelmed by her own feelings, or because she doesn't yet trust that those feelings are safe. In that space, your job is not to fix. Your job is to hold still, not with coldness, but with presence. Stillness isn't apathy, it's a spiritual strength. It's saying, I trust the process. I don't need to chase. I don't need to manipulate. I attract what is mine by being who I am. That's power. A masculine man understands that love is a dance, not a strategy. And in that dance, the feminine will sometimes spin away, not to leave you, but to rediscover herself. Let her breathe. Let her feel your absence. Let her remember how your calm gave her peace. The moment you stop trying to pull her closer is the moment she starts to feel safe to return. In early Christian mysticism, the desert fathers, men who retreated into silence, fasting and solitude, understood the value of withdrawal. They didn't chase spiritual enlightenment. They created space for it, and it came. This is how a woman's heart works. She may ignore you, but if you respond with grace, groundedness, and emotional control, you send a powerful message. I am not here to take love from you. I am the kind of man love returns to. That message speaks louder than flowers, texts, or apologies. Validation over vision. Too many men today build their self-worth around a woman's responses. She texts back, I'm enough. She goes silent. I'm broken. But that's a dangerous trap. You must build your worth on something deeper. Your vision, your discipline, your values, your mission. Because here's the secret. The more you align with your life's purpose, the less you panic when a woman needs space. You stop asking, what did I do wrong? And you start asking, am I living right? When your life is full of direction, meaning, and excellence, her silence no longer feels like a threat. It becomes part of the flow. And ironically, that's what draws her back. Women are not drawn to men who beg. They're drawn to men who build, men who walk forward without trying to drag anyone with them. She comes back to stillness, not desperation. At some point, the woman who ignored you may reach out again. It might be subtle, a meme, a memory, a late night, hey. The untrained man sees this and immediately collapses into overexcitement. He gives away his power, he replies too fast, he pushes too much. But the masculine man doesn't flinch. He sees the message for what it is, a soft return. Not an invitation to sprint toward her, but an opportunity to re-engage slowly, confidently, on your terms. You don't punish her, but you don't give yourself away too fast either. You respond not with fear, but with warm stillness. You hold the frame. You allow the feminine to re-enter the space without rushing her or losing yourself. That's the difference between men who are forgotten and men who are respected. You want to stop being ignored, then stop trying to control. Start being the man who is so grounded in himself that attention is not a necessity. It's a byproduct of your strength. When you live this way, even silence works in your favor, because while she's ignoring you, she's also watching, feeling, wondering if you're the kind of man who can hold her chaos with calm. And when she realizes that you are, that you didn't flinch, fold, or chase, she comes back. Not because you asked her to, but because she felt who you are. Comment below. I release control. I stay grounded. Love flows to the man who stands still. Drop this below if you're done with panic and stepping into your calm, powerful masculine energy. Chapter 4. When she returns. How to stay a man she'll never want to ignore. Again, there's a unique moment in every man's journey. When the silence breaks. When the text finally comes through, when she reaches out, calls, smiles again, and you realize, she's come back. Now here's the question. Will you collapse into old pattern or rise into a new standard? Because how you respond to her return determines whether this becomes a cycle or a transformation. Let's break this moment down to its deepest truths, spiritual, emotional, and masculine. She returns. But why? First, understand this. When a woman who once ignored you comes back, it is not always a sign she's ready. It is a sign that your absence impacted her. She may not be fully sure. She may not know exactly what she wants. But something in your silence echoed inside her. Here's where most men go wrong. They respond like a starving man handed bread. They overinvest too fast. They become emotionally needy, and without realizing it, they teach her that their value only exists when she gives attention. But the grounded man, the man who embodies Stoic golden energy, he doesn't react, he receives. He holds the door open, but doesn't beg her to walk through it. The cycle of insecurity, break it here or repeat it forever. If she returns and you instantly give all your energy back to her without boundaries, you'll reset the pattern. She will pull away again. You'll chase again. She'll lose attraction. And this time the silence might be permanent. Why? Because when a woman tests you with distance, she's subconsciously asking, can I trust you to lead even when I fall apart? And if your leadership disappears the moment she reappears, she loses respect. You don't need to be cold. You need to be measured, emotionally intelligent, confident enough to move slowly, wise enough to watch how she moves now, not how she used to. Re-establish the masculine frame. When she returns, 1. Acknowledge but don't overpraise. Don't act like you've been saved. Say something simple and calm. Good to hear from you. Let your energy communicate that you are whole, not desperate. 2. Lead with clarity. If you do meet up, decide where. Set the time. Be precise. Don't be vague. She needs to see that the man she's coming back to is even stronger than the one she left. 3. Do not relive the past. Don't bring up why she left. Don't play the victim. Don't over-explain your silence. Let your growth speak louder than your words. 4. Hold emotional boundaries. Pay attention to how she communicates now. Does she respect your time? Is she consistent? Does she bring peace or confusion? You're not here to win her back. You're here to protect the life and peace you've built in her absence. Marcus Aurelius and the Return to Self. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This doesn't change when she returns. In fact, this is the most important time to keep your mind guarded. You will feel tempted to fall back into fantasy. She's back. This must mean it's fate. She really does love me. We can start over. Maybe, but maybe not. The mature man doesn't let hope make decisions. He lets reality guide him. He watches, he listens, he moves with strength, not sentiment. From emotional reaction to spiritual mastery. Here's the deepest layer most men never reach. Love is not possession. Love is spiritual responsibility. If a woman comes back into your life, you now carry a sacred task: to lead from the spirit, to bring calm, to set the tone, to elevate the connection, or to respectfully end it. If her return comes from growth, meet her with grace. If it comes from fear, loneliness, or confusion, you must lead that moment with compassion but clarity. Because a man's job is not to win her over, it is to protect the space of love so that only what is true can enter. When to walk away, even when she comes back. Sometimes the greatest test is not enduring her silence. It's walking away from her return. If she has not changed, if she's inconsistent again, if she starts to play the same emotional games, but you leave, not out of ego, but out of discipline. Because real men don't settle for half love. They don't accept lukewarm respect. They don't keep the door open for someone who only shows up when it's convenient. You don't need revenge. You don't need to explain. You just need to walk forward. And when you do, you become the man who is never ignored again. Not because you force anyone to stay, but because your energy is too powerful to play games with, from silence to sovereignty. This whole journey, from being ignored to pulling back to seeing her return, was never just about her. It was about you, about who you became in the process, about how you learned to remain calm in chaos, hold your value in silence, lead with wisdom, not weakness, attract from presence, not panic, and become a man worthy of true, lasting love. You've walked through the fire. You've faced the ache of silence. You've risen in stillness. Now, no matter what happens next, you win. Comment below. I don't chase love, I embody it. I lead with strength, and I only welcome peace. Drop this below if you felt the shift, from chasing to attracting, from reacting to leading, from being ignored to being respected.